Chapter 2: Mines, Misers, and America. Joel clutched his carefully wrapped lunch and hurried by the silent schoolhouse that stood empty and forlorn in the cold morning light. 6:40, he thought sleepily, and I've got to be at work at 7 o'clock. It'll never do for me to be late. I'll just have to make a run for Shepherd's Mine and trust to luck and my two good legs to get me there on time. But tomorrow morning I certainly won't turn over in bed for those last 40 winks of sleep. That extra cat nap's what made me get a late start today. Joel's feet broke into a run, into a quick dog trot that carried him past the village houses and down the winding lane that led to the large lead mine near Gunhavn. As he jogged along, his thoughts flew wistfully back to the school he had just passed, and from which he had some months ago been promoted. Well, at least I've completed the grade, sixth standard, the top grammar school grade in England, he thought wistfully, and that's as far as anyone can go in this school. I'd give a pretty penny to be able to get away to some larger place where I could go on with my studies. But what's the use of wishing such a thing? Mother can't afford to send me anywhere. And now that I'm 15 past, I should be helping her. Joel's busy thoughts seemed to keep step with his hurrying feet, so that by the time he reached the mine entrance, he was quite out of breath. Well, I wondered when you'd get here. I'd say you slept too long, laughed red-cheeked Arthur. He was the largest of the four other lads who worked from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., under the eagle-eyed supervision of a mine foreman. You're right, nodded Joel. He looked around quickly for the foreman, who exactly on the stroke of 7 began to break up the larger rocks, streaked with ore, and pass them on to the boys. Joel's arms ached as he thought of another day of back-breaking labor over the ore that must be hammered down to the size of cabbages before being sent on to the smelter. There's Tom Simmons now, whispered Arthur. He's getting ready to start up the skip. That means we'll soon be swinging our sledgehammers. Joel glanced toward the mine shaft, whose ladder ran straight down hundreds of feet into the earth's dark interior. He watched as the sturdy miners emerged one by one from the boiler room, clad in their tarnished color two-piece garments and their hard hats that protected them from falling rocks. He felt pity for them as they began their long descent into the mine. Half fearfully, he watched as they started carefully down the ladder rung by rung. Well, he knew how they would look when they pulled themselves really wearily toward the daylight after long hours of work in the dark underground tunnels. He could picture them soaked to the skin from the water that constantly seeped into the mine, with their burned out miners' candles still stuck in the daubs of clay they had plastered on their foreheads as candle holders. Thud, 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 rang Joel's hammer on the hard ore. Thud, thud, thud. And this is the way you earn sixpence, 12 cents, a day. The echo seemed to ring in his ears as he worked steadily, with only a short noon hour in which to eat the crusty meat and potato pasty, which seemed all too small to satisfy his boyish hunger. He was thankful when 5 o'clock quitting signal was given and the skip, with its last load of ore, was stopped above ground. Another day's over, he said to Arthur, and am I glad. I'd give a lot to be doing anything else but working in this lead mine in Cornwall, England right now. What do you like to do? Inquired the practical Arthur. Mining's about the only work around here. At least it's all my family knows. How else could you earn a living, Joel? Oh, I don't know, Joel answered soberly. If I was really lucky, maybe I could get a job like the one my brother John has now. He just finished Sixth Standard too, but he went over to Callington and got employment with a grocer. He gets all of a half-crown, 60 cents a week, in room and board besides. And in addition, he's learning the trade. Maybe someday he'll get a chance to go to America and have a store of his own. If so, I'll get to go out there and help him. A store of his own, echoed Arthur scornfully. You must be dreaming. How would he ever get enough money to go all the way across the ocean to America to get set up shop there? Why, folks say your father's been in America for years, and he's never made enough to send for one of your family yet. If he can't earn enough money as a grown man, how do you think you and John could get over there and start up your own business? Joel felt his cheeks burned as Arthur talked. He swallowed hard to keep back the angry words that almost tumbled out, for well he knew that his companion but echoed the opinion of the villagers. I won't say anything, he thought grimly. I won't. He just doesn't understand that someday Father really will have good luck in America. He can't understand that someday he'll find a nice place for us and make enough money to pay our passage over there. And when that day comes and I'm ready to leave, I'd like to walk right up to Arthur. I'd like to be able to say, all right, Arthur, how about it? Am I going to America or am I staying here to work with you in the shepherd's mine? Answer me now. I guess I'll have to eat his words then, whether he likes their taste or not. Well, concluded Arthur, it looks as if we'd all be looking for other work, whether we want to or not. I overheard Tim telling some of the men that the mine was shutting down next week. Shutting down? Shutting down next week? All the way home, the dismal words echoed in Joel's ears. All the way home, his feet lagged, for the dreaded, for he dreaded the thought of telling his mother. Never mind, son, soothed mother, as he stammered out the unwelcome news of the mine's closing. From something your brother John said to me the last time he was home on a visit, I think you can get work over in St. Anne's. He told me that if the mine should close down, you should come to him for a short time. Then he'd find employment for you with a grocer he knows in a nearby village. He said you'd get room and board as a grocer's apprentice, but no money for a while. However, you'd be learning the grocery trade as a means of earning your livelihood later on. Such training would be invaluable to you, Joel, for you well know that I can't afford to send you away for further schooling. I'd hoped and prayed that long before now your father would have been able to send for us to come to America. But years have gone by since he sailed from England, and still he's been able to send us only a few checks. But mother, he interrupted hastily, don't you think father will really begin making money in the Nevada mines now that he's well again and Uncle Bill's over his long sickness? He'll surely be able to save something for us. Bad luck can't last forever. I hope not, son. I hope not, sighed Mother. Joel's heart ached as he saw her work-worn hands wipe away the tears and dropped slowly down upon her starched apron. Never mind, Mother, he said fiercely. We may be poor now, but some day we'll all be together in America. And when we get there, I'm going on to school. And then I'm going to get a good job so that you'll never have to work again. When we get to America, we're going to have so much to eat that we'll never be hungry. Now, now, Joel, laughed Mother shakily. She smiled lovingly through her tears and her blue-eyed, black at her blue-eyed, black-haired boy. It's true, we've had some hard times, but still, we've never starved, and I don't think we ever will. I've always said that I'd never let my children go hungry as long as I could be trusted for a sack of flour at Mrs. Martin's store, and I never have. Well, that's true, nodded Joel. But we've come pretty close to it at times, a good many times. Too close for comfort. And it isn't fair for you to have to work so hard all the time, Mother. I don't like it. Oh, I wish Father could find some place for us in America. If we could only get over there, I just know we'd get along all right. I just know we would. All during the following weeks and months, Joel kept repeating this belief to himself. Even on days that were so dark and dismal he almost despaired of a brighter future. He doggedly recalled his determination to work hard and do well in his apprenticeship with the fat grocer whose sharp black eyes had stared so hard at him as John introduced them. So this is the lad, eh? Mr. Beetle had grunted on that distant day. Yes, sir, replied Joel politely. 15 going on 16, you say? That's correct, answered John. And I'm sure, Mr. Beetle, you'll find him a good worker, too, no matter what you ask him to do. So, that we'll see soon. Looks spindling to do much heavy lifting. Not very big for his age. Oh, I'm strong enough, sir, quickly answered Joel. You see, sir, I've been working in a mine since I finished the sixth standard. At the mine, I helped pick over the lead ore as it was hoisted up on the skip. Then I'd break up the larger chunks. Oh, I'm strong enough for any work here, I'm sure, Mr. Beetle. You're nothing but a sissy. A sissy, a sissy. You couldn't lift a cup of treacle with both hands, interrupted a hateful whining voice. Joel and John turned quickly and just in time to see the newcomer stick out a very red tongue at them. Now, now, Cyril, said Mr. Beetle fondly, do be a good boy and run along. This here is no business of yours at all. "'Tis so," rudely interrupted young Master Beetle. "I don't like that boy's looks," he said, pointing a sticky candy-streaked forefinger at Joel. "I don't want him here. He hadn't better stay either. If he does, I'll be so mean to him he'll pack up and leave just like your last apprentice did." "Cyril!" shrilled a high voice from somewhere upstairs. "Cyril! Come here, darling, I need you. Come along right now. That's a good boy." "Well," said Mr. Beetle briskly, as Cyril slowly departed red tongue still pointed in their direction. Boys will be boys, they do say. And now, might we call our little business finished? I've just lost my apprentice, and I need one badly. What with new goods coming to the store tomorrow to be unpacked and all. Shall we say you're to start now, Joel? Here you can learn the grocery trade and have your room and board while you're learning. I might say you'll be almost like one of the family. Bring your bag with me. I'll show you where you're to sleep. Like one of the family, thought Joel bitterly months later. Up early and late to bed, and always pestered by that horrid Cyril. I'd have gone home long ago if I could have gotten any work there. But I couldn't go home and be a burden on mother. No, I'll just have to stay and do the best I can, though I can't do much with this sore hand. It's getting worse instead of better. Looks as if it's swelling up more all the time. Phew! It even hurts when I cut kindling to start the morning fire. And I've got to hurry or Mrs. Biddle'll be here before it's laid and burning. Ouch! Don't bump against my arm, Cyril, said Joel sharply. My left hand hurts. It's been sore ever since you scratched me the other day. I should have scratched your other hand, too, snarled Cyril. He danced one foot to the other like a grinning jumping jack. And I'll bump your hand if I want to. Besides, you're cutting kindling with Papa's knife, ain't you? No, I'm not, flared Joel. I'm using my own knife. Now run along and leave me alone. You shouldn't be up so early anyway. I've got work to do as soon as I get this fire started. Papa, screamed the untruthful Cyril. Joel's cutting kindling with your knife. He is so. Joel's cutting kindling with your good knife. Stop it, commanded Joel as the older boy dropped the knife and reached for the young troublemaker. He saw Cyril strike hard at his outstretched, swollen hand. Slap! Ow! Cried Joel. He stopped still and glared angrily at the grinning child. Don't you dare tell such lies, and don't you dare hit me like that. I will if I want, mocked Cyril. You're nothing but my father's prentice, and I'll hit you if I want to. So there. Slap. Again Cyril aimed at Joel's swollen hand. Crack. Joel struck out in self-defense. Ow! Screamed Cyril as his hand flew to his reddened cheek. He burst into tears. You hit me! Papa never hits me, he wailed. Too bad for you that Papa never does, muttered Joel, nursing his own throbbing fingers. You'd be a better boy if you got a few whacks once in a while. He recalled his own mother's belief in spare the rod and spoil the child. Running footsteps told the boys of the rapid approach of Cyril's ever-doting father. Here, here, what's all this? Wheezed nightgown-clad Mr. Biddle. What's going on here? Why, there's positively so much noise a man can't decently rest. Joel's been cutting kindling with your knife, Papa, sniffed Cyril, and he slapped me too. What? roared Mr. Beetle, now thoroughly awake. You struck my son? How dare you slap my child? You impertinent upstart. Then make him stop lying about me, Mr. Beetle, replied Joel, firmly and courteously. I haven't been using your knife to cut kindling, and I didn't intend to slap Cyril, even though he was untruthful, but he hit my sore hand, and before I knew what I was doing, I hit him. Long afterward, Joel could smile about that early morning scene in the kitchen. But that hour and the day that followed before his discharge were the dreariest that he was ever to know. Although he sensed that Mr. Beadle believed in his truthfulness, he also knew that no one could criticize young Master Cyril, who was the idol of the senior Beadle's heart. And he was not surprised when Mr. Beadle spoke to him, told him that his mother had sent for him, and that he need not return to work. "You've been here almost a year now," said Mr. Beadle in closing. "That's much longer than I've kept an apprentice before, or ever will again, as long as Cyril's here." Joel longed to say, but he dare not speak, lest his employer refuse to recommend him to another position. "Now you've been a good worker, that I'll say," continued Grocer Beadle, grudgingly. "But you're a trifle too hot-headed to get along with Cyril. Boys will be boys, you know, and he's full of little pranks, though he don't mean no harm to anyone." So, all considered, I think it's best that I get someone else. I'll give you a letter so you can find another place. And I hope you'll learn to hold your temper better than you have here. Joel watched Mr. Battle's fat jaws quiver as the grocer shook his head and walked with Joel out to the waiting wagon. "Harry's going all the way to Gunhavn, so you'll have a ride home," he said in farewell. "Now be a proper and respectful lad. Mind your manners and work hard, and you'll make a living wherever you go." "But I've not gotten overly fat on the wages you've paid, Mr. Badle," thought Joel resentfully, as the horse-drawn wagon moved slowly down the muddy lane and the fat grocer disappeared forever from Joel's sight. "No, sir, I'll not get very fat on that dish of 20 tarts either. Why, you've brought only 2 pitchers of trestle and 2 pitchers of scalded cream to pour over them. Quick, Cyril, get more food. I'm still hungry. Bring several beds, too. I'm hungry, and I'm asleep. Here, here, wake up." As from a distance Joel heard Harry's hoarse voice and felt the driver's rough hands shaking his shoulders. "Wake up, I say. You're home. And here's your mother. She's asking whether you're tired and hungry. Stop your dreaming and wake up." "Mother!" exclaimed Joel. He opened his sleepy eyes in joyful amazement. "Why, I'm home again. I'm home in Gunhavn." "Oh, but it's wonderful to see you once more after all these months, Mother. I was just dreaming. I was hungry and tired. And then I woke up and found I was home at last. Mmm, something smells good. I know what it is. I know what it is, too. Suet and cabbage dumplings and fresh baked currant cakes." He all but forgot his injured hand in his excitement. "You're right, son," smiled Mother. "You're just in time to sit down and eat with us." "Us?" questioned Joel, now wide awake. "Who's here?" "John came home today, dear. He's gone on an errand, but he'll be back right away," replied Mother. "I sent for both of you to come as soon as possible after I received the letter." The letter? A letter from Father?" Joel asked through lips that suddenly felt stiff and numb. Did the letter come at last? Joel felt his cheeks burn with excitement. He heard his mother's kind voice, but faintly through the sudden roaring in his ears. "Indeed, it is the long-awaited letter. But come inside, and I'll put it in your own hands, that you can read it for yourself. There, what do you think of the news?" Joel felt his fingers turn all awkward thumbs as he reached for the travel-stained envelope and eagerly pulled out the rustling letter page. Quickly his eyes scanned the pages. A big ranch in the Harney Valley, our own house on it, regular stagecoach service in here, a fine growing community, sold enough cattle for Joel's fare. You and John come next. Good fortune at last, dear ones. Joel heard his voice skimming rapidly through the breathtaking news. Oh, it's too good to be true. At last we're going to America, he exclaimed before he handed the letter to his mother. Within the next year, the three of us will join father in Oregon. He saw that his mother's long pent up tears had brimmed over and splashed upon the envelope's penciled address. Somehow, without any words being spoken in his boyish way, he understood how her heart was torn with joy and pain. There was joy that he and John could have new opportunities in America, joy that their little family would once again be united, pain at the thought of the loved friends who would be left behind. He listened as his mother turned towards his brother, who had just entered the doorway. Yes, dear one, she said, our time of anxious waiting is almost over. With God's help and blessing, we'll soon be on the way to our new home. It's half a world away, Mother. Joel thought that John's voice sounded very deep and very sober. That's true, she replied, but America. I can scarcely realize what this will mean to us. Joel saw his brave little mother wipe away her glistening teardrops before she smiled at each of them. Come into the kitchen, boys, and we'll eat. Then after I see what can be done for that sore hand of yours, Joel, we'll talk over our plans. There's work aplenty to be outlined if we get you ready for a January sailing date. America, get ready. January sailing date. The words rolled through Joel's head until he felt fairly dizzy with excitement. In his mind's eye, he saw a series of pictures. The steamer waiting at the Liverpool wharf, the huge, sprawling city of New York, a long, winding train puffing across the width of North America, the stagecoach journey onward from the railroad's end. Perhaps there'll even be Indians there, he said aloud, staring into space. Indians? Where? Oh, you mean in America, answered John smilingly. Well, there may be, but I don't think they'll hurt you. I'm not afraid of Indians anyway, firmly replied Joel, after working first in a lead mine and then for that miserly Biddle family. I don't think I'll ever be afraid of anything again. Not even wild Indians could be worse than Cyril Biddle. But first, there's one thing I'm going to do, he concluded. As soon as we finish eating, I'm going to run and find Arthur. When we worked together in the shepherd's mine, I told him the day would come when Father would send the money for my passage to America. Now that day has come. I can hardly wait to see Art's expression when I tell him the good news. And I only wish I could see Cyril's candy-coated face when he learns that I'm really going to sail. After all these years, I'm going across the ocean to join Father. Surely the coming months will be exciting ones for all of us.